Alrighty, I'm going to read a little section from Allie Stuckey's book, You're Not Enough, and That's Okay. Escaping the Toxic Culture of Self-Love. Don't worry, I got her permission. There's good news. The world tells us self-love will solve all our problems, but it can't. Lizzo is a popular artist whose calls to self-love characterize her band. Last year, she posted on Instagram a question from one of her followers that read, "How is it possible that I listened to the great Lizzo tell me how important self-love is and I still somehow hate myself?" Lizzo responded by saying that self-love takes time and even she's still not there yet. But that's not the real reason. Neither Lizzo nor her fan feels content despite focusing on self-love because self-love is inherently unsatisfying. It depends on our feelings, which are subject to constant change based on our circumstances, our performance, and other people's opinions. Self-love is unreliable, conditional, and limited. Chasing after it always brings us to a dead end. For me, the dead end of self-love looked like a counselor's office hearing that I'm going to die. In my last semester of college, I thought I was doing what freshly single college girls are supposed to do. Be free and find myself by doing exactly what I wanted and when. I looked happy and self-assured, but on the inside, I was rotting. I wanted to find the answer to emptiness inside myself, and it just wasn't there. I'm not alone in my experience. For a generation obsessed with personal happiness and self-discovery, we're startlingly unhappy and lost. Our rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide are staggering. Even the memes we make highlight the problems that ail us: social anxiety, insomnia, insecurity, a fear of adulting. At best, we're discontent and confused. At worst, we're totally hollow. The reason we, a generation living in the most prosperous era in the most prosperous country in the world, still can't find fulfillment is because we're looking for it in the wrong places. We keep hearing that if we just love ourselves a little more and check a few more things off our personal list of goals, we'll finally be okay. This tactic isn't working, and it's keeping us miserable. Our desperation is exacerbated because of a reason we've already named. The self can't be both our problem and our solution. If the self is the source of our depression or despair or insecurity or fear, it can't also be the source of our ultimate fulfillment. That means loving ourselves more doesn't satiate us. We need something else, something bigger. Simply, we need Jesus. There's a reason Jesus describes himself as living water and bread of life. He satisfies. The searching for peace and for purpose stops in him alone. He created us, therefore only he can tell us who we are and why we're here. And aren't these the questions everyone's trying to answer? Who are we and why are we here? The world's answer to these questions is you. You define your identity, your purpose, your value, your truth. Jesus' answer is me. He defines your identity, your purpose, your value, your worth. Who do you think is a more reliable source of the answers for which our souls are begging? Jesus, the maker of the universe, or us, the same people who can barely remember what we had for lunch yesterday. When we place ourselves on the throne of our lives, giving ourselves the authority to define who we are and why we're here, we inevitably end up where I did in college, exhausted and confused. Why? Because if we're honest with ourselves, we just don't know. We don't know who we're supposed to be, and our ideas of what our purpose is are both changing and elusive. The standards we set for ourselves are ever evolving, so we're never fully content with who we are or what we're doing. But when Jesus is on the throne of our lives, he has the authority to give us our identity and purpose. And in him, these things never change. In his life, he set an example of kindness and love. In his death, he paid the debt we owed for our sins so that we can be reconciled to a holy God. In his resurrection, he conquered sin and death so that those who believe can live forever with him. If we were enough, we wouldn't need Jesus to do these things for us. but we do. Without him, we're hopeless, purposeless, and dead in our sin. When Jesus saves us, we are made new creations and children of God. As such, our goal is to glorify him in everything we do. We don't have to wonder what it's all about anymore. This is it. In exchange for the confusion and exhaustion that comes with trying to be enough, he gives us peace and relief. In exchange for superficial confidence and unsatisfying self-care, Jesus offers us steadfast assurance and trust in his faithfulness. That's why the fact that you're not enough is not just okay, it's great. You aren't meant to be enough, and neither am I. When we miss this truth, we stay stuck in our vicious cycle of trying to measure up to impossible standards while simultaneously convincing ourselves that we're good enough the way we are. The consequences are always dire.